that I trusted him completely. He could have twisted my head off.
The murder-suicide in Manoa is the worst mass killing in Hawaii since the Xerox shooting, which left 7 people dead.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
When Honolulu police responded to a 911 call on March 10, 2024, they had no idea they were about to walk into one of the most horrifying crime scenes in Hawaii's history. 5 bodies, 2 adults and 3 children, were stabbed to death in their own home. Shockingly, the killer was the father, the very person who was meant to love, protect, and care for them. On that fateful day, nothing could stop him. Not their cries, not the terror in their eyes. Not even their final, desperate gasps for mercy. But why? What could drive a father to commit such an unthinkable act? Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. In today's episode, we're diving into the second deadliest family murder Honolulu had seen in 25 years. Without further ado, let's get started. This tragic story unfolded in Manoa, a quiet and peaceful neighborhood in Honolulu. It was here that 46-year-old Paris Oda lived with his wife, 48-year-old Naoko, and their 3 children, Sakurako, Orion, and Nana. Paris was a chiropractor, running his own practice near Ala Moana Center, one of Hawaii's largest shopping malls.
Hi, this is Dr. Oda, and we're going to be adjusting Luke here, who has a lot of neck pain and neck problems.
His wife, Naoko, originally from Japan, would sometimes help at the clinic. Life seemed good for the Oda family. They were preparing for Sakurako's high school graduation, excitedly weighing college options both in Hawaii and on the mainland. Sakurako had big dreams. She was passionate about nursing and cooking. She and her mother had even run the Honolulu Marathon together in 2019, finishing just 3 places apart. The middle child, Orion, was in 6th grade at CEQ's charter school, a playful, kind-hearted boy everyone adored. The youngest, Nana, attended Manoa Elementary. She was shy but always looked out for others, a quiet protector in her own way. To the outside world, Paris Oda was a calm, peaceful individual and a devoted father. One of his employees recalled, he would wake up early, make their lunches, cook their breakfast, and let his wife sleep in. I told him, "Oh, you're such a good husband." The Odas were very festive. Every Christmas, they would decorate their home, spread holiday cheer throughout the neighborhood.
A typical, really festive family, they dress up the house for holidays.
But in December 2023, for the first time ever, their Christmas decorations never went up. That was the first red flag.
Yeah, I noticed in the past year or so that there haven't been Christmas decorations, Halloween decorations like normal, which seemed kind of odd, as they always.
Neighbors and Paris's employees started to notice his sadness. The once friendly chiropractor became quiet, distant, and moody. His smile faded. Even his patients noticed.
Didn't feel right seeing the kids walk past us throughout the week, making eye contact. I could see something in their eyes, like they were sad, couldn't figure it out, and
Then came Sunday morning, March 10, 2024. At 8:34 a.m., Honolulu police received a chilling 911 call. There were desperate screams coming from Paris's house. Officers rushed to 3622 Waloa Place and found nothing. No sounds, no signs of forced entry. No one answered the door. An officer tried contacting the 911 caller, but the number was international and their system couldn't do anything. This critical limitation prevented them from following up immediately. With no other option, officers conducted a cautious search around Paris's house, even knocked on his neighbors' doors. But strangely, no one heard anything. It seemed like a false alarm. Around 9 a.m., the officers returned to their patrol car and left the scene. What they didn't know was beyond that door, a nightmare had already unfolded. 15 minutes after the officers drove away, the same caller dialed 911 again. This time, only one officer responded and drove to the scene. Waiting outside was a woman, shaken, pale, her hands trembling. She was a tenant who rented a room in Paris's house, and it was clear that she had seen something horrific. Taking a deep breath, she began to recount the nightmare. Between 2 and 2:30 a.m., she was asleep in her room when she heard blood-curdling screams. The screams grew louder and closer. They were coming from just outside her door. Frozen in terror, she locked herself in, too afraid to move or breathe. Then she saw something that sent ice through her veins. Blood. Thick, dark, and seeping under her door, slowly spreading across the floor. She was too scared to come out. When police first arrived, she stayed hidden, waited until she could no longer bear it. Finally, she climbed out of her window and called 911 again. With this horrifying revelation, the officer sprang into action. He called for backup and walked toward the main door. It was still locked, refusing to give way. Peering through a window, he spotted a motionless body on the floor. This was bad.
They were able to see an unresponsive person through the window. They called out to the person but received no answer.
Within minutes, other officers joined him. They drew their weapons and forced their way in through the back door. And that's when they saw it. Lying in the hallway was Paris Oda, his chest covered in deep stab wounds, surrounded by a pool of blood. A kitchen knife was still clutched in his stiff hand. Paris Oda was dead. But the nightmare had only begun. In the first bedroom, 17-year-old Sakurako lay on the floor, stab wounds covering her legs and upper body. In the next room, 12-year-old Orion lay lifeless in his bed, knife wounds to his chest. Then, in the master bedroom, the horror deepened. 10-year-old Nana, face down, deep stab wounds carved into her back. And just behind the door, their mother Naoko Oda was almost beyond recognition. Her body was riddled with defensive wounds. She had fought desperately for her children's lives. But it was no use. The crime scene left no doubt. Paris Oda was the killer. At some point during the night, he just snapped. He grabbed a kitchen knife, turned on his family, and ended his own life.
The adult male killed the female and the juveniles with a knife that was recovered from the scene. The motive is still under investigation.
A family that once seemed so normal and happy, completely wiped out in a single night. The entire community was shaken to its core. Even seasoned law enforcement officers who had witnessed countless tragedies called it Honolulu's second worst mass murder in nearly 25 years. The crime scene alone was so horrifying that first responders were immediately given special care and comfort.
Talking to the officers who were there at the scene initially, trying to find out what they were feeling, what they were going through at that point in time, their mental faculties for the rest of their lives. This will have an impact on them, as it would any officer for the rest of their life.
The medical examiner's findings only made the tragedy more disturbing. Naoko and Sakurako died from multiple sharp force injuries. Orion and Nana suffered fatal stab wounds to their torsos, but they all had defensive wounds on their hands and wrists. Sadly, not only the mother, but all the children fought back in vain. Police determined that they succumbed to their injuries just hours later. The timeline matched with what the tenant had reported, between 2 and 2:30 a.m. Looking back, there were whispers of trouble. In 1997, as a teenager, Paris Oda had a minor run-in with the law, trespassing on private property. It was a youthful mistake that was erased from his record for good behavior. And that was all. Paris had no criminal record, no history of domestic violence. To everyone around, he was a hardworking man, a loving husband, and a devoted father. So what went wrong? The truth behind this tragedy was even more heartbreaking than anyone could have imagined. Paris had been drowning in financial struggles for years. According to tax records, Paris was late on car and loan payments, falling behind on taxes, and struggling to keep his chiropractic business afloat. His financial troubles stretched back to at least 2021, when the owners of his office buildings sued him and his company, Oda Ohana Chiropractic LLC, for nearly $90,000 in unpaid rent and fees. Court records revealed that he had stopped paying rent in December 2017 and continued racking up debt throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. In December 2021, he managed to settle the lawsuit, paying $53,000. But the debt didn't stop there. Paris had taken out a $26,995 loan through the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, to cover payroll for his employees. The loan was later forgiven, but the debt kept piling up. By June 2023, he settled a state tax lien for $7,810, but by December 2023, he was desperate for cash. He attempted to sell his 2013 Ford truck for $2,000, and even put a treadmill up for sale for $800. By January 2024, Paris was running out of options. He contacted a realtor about selling his second property in Aiea. To make ends meet, he even started driving for Uber.
He told relatives that he would rather die before going to jail for unpaid taxes.
He also opened up to his wife Naoko, and while they tried to make financial adjustments, nothing seemed to improve their situation. Then came February 2024, the moment when everything took a dark turn. Paris told Naoko that he just wanted to die. In mid-February, he sent Naoko a chilling text message, saying they needed to make a plan. He couldn't take it anymore, and she should go with him. But then, their children would be lost because no one could care for them better than he could. So they had to go too.
He was saying that they had previously discussed taking their lives. Him, his wife, and the children.
However, Naoko still held on to hope. She refused to accept this dark fate and tried to lift his spirits. She suggested a fresh start in Japan, where her parents lived. But Paris was already too far gone. He was drained, exhausted, and slipping deeper into despair. He withdrew from her, becoming distant and silent. By March, his anxiety reached its peak. Tax season was approaching, and the weight of his financial troubles became too much to bear. Desperate for a way out, he spoke with a realtor about selling their home in Manoa. That 4-bedroom house was purchased in 2013 for approximately $1 million. By 2024, the city appraisal values the property at nearly $1.7 million. Neighbors later revealed that Paris's family lived upstairs and rented out the downstairs unit to another family and a tenant. By a twist of fate, that family had left for a trip to Japan just before the murders. Only the tenant was at home.
They explained to us it was, they never wanted to sell this place, but they had no choice, because his business, during COVID, his business would end up taking one big loss. I just wish I could have been more help or even someone to talk to. He would talk to us and stuff like that, but it was a little bit different. It looked like he was under a lot of pressure.
Sadly, Paris's mind had already begun to spiral in a terrifying direction. He confided in relatives that he would kill his family and burn their home to the ground. This was no empty warning, because he secretly asked a friend to buy a gun. Whether for himself or to carry out his deadly plan, we may never know. Luckily, the friend never responded, unknowingly stopping what could have been an even darker outcome. As the city reeled from the horror, Paris Oda's mother finally spoke up, saying she was wrestling with the news in disbelief and wish it never happened. When asked if she had seen any warning signs, she hesitated. Some wounds are too deep to discuss. Some truths are too painful to say out loud. Oda's chiropractic office in the Pan Am building was now closed, a chilling reminder of the man he once was. Patients who had trusted him were in shock. One former patient, Martha Randolph, was stunned by the news. She had known him for years, visited his office regularly, and never once suspected he was struggling.
There was absolutely no sign, no indication, not even one word out of place. I trusted him completely. He could have twisted my head off.
Neighbors, though not close to the family, were deeply shaken. The tragedy cast a heavy shadow over the community. One woman was so devastated that she cried all day. An elderly neighbor, Irvin Yoshino, spoke for everyone when he said,
"It feels like part of your family. We go on our walks, we go down there and we see the kids riding their bikes, skateboards in the neighborhood. So yeah, it was just very normal."
Now the kids were gone, and the silence they left behind was deafening. In the aftermath, the schools that the Oda children attended took immediate action to help students and staff cope with the devastating loss. Iolani School, where Sakurako had been a student, reached out to parents on Sunday night, inviting students, teachers, and staff to gather for support. The school held a special early morning chapel service, a quiet space for mourning. Orion, a 6th grader at SEEQ's charter school in Nuanu, was also remembered. His school leader reached out to parents, letting them know that crisis counselors were available for students struggling to understand the loss of their classmate. At Manoa Elementary School, where the youngest Oda child had studied, the Department of Education sent a letter to parents, informing them that a crisis intervention team was in place to help students, teachers, and families navigate the heartbreak. 3 schools, 3 different communities, all devastated by the same unimaginable loss. According to therapist Britt Young, in this painful time, parents should support their children, especially those in elementary and middle school. They might wonder if a father could do this to his own children. Something like this might happen to them.
I'm so angry this could happen. Who would do that? So it's not like we're adults and we just handle it completely, we process it without going to that angry place. It's normal to feel angry. It's normal to wonder who would do this.
For younger kids, reassurance is key. They need to hear from their parents that they are safe, that they are loved, and that the world is not as terrifying as it might seem. For older children, like teenagers and young adults, the conversation can be more open and honest. Therapist Britt advised parents to let them ask questions, even the difficult ones, and to answer with care. Sometimes, just being there, offering a hug, a shoulder to lean on, a quiet moment of comfort can make all the difference. The road to healing starts with these conversations, with the understanding that no one has to go through this alone. On Tuesday evening, the Waikiki community came together in a powerful show of unity and mourning. Hundreds gathered on the lawn of the Waikiki Shell to honor the lives of Sakurako, Orion, and Nana, lives taken far too soon. The vigil was a moment of remembrance, a space for classmates, friends, teammates, and teachers to grieve together. Tears flowed freely. Hugs were given to those who needed them. Stories were shared about the kindness, the laughter, and the dreams these children carried with them. Even weeks after the tragedy, the pain was still fresh. Matilda, a soccer teammate of Nana, struggled to find the words to express her grief. She admitted that even the simplest things, like passing by a soccer field, could trigger a wave of sadness, bringing back memories of the friend she had lost. Another friend of Orion also said,
"He was a very nice person. He was very kind and playful. I remember we went to this track meet in 5th grade together. We had a really great time, and I'm really sad that this happened."
In an effort to help with funeral expenses, a GoFundMe page has been created. Paris Oda's eldest daughter from a previous relationship, Taurus Manzano, along with her mother, Annalyn, have taken the lead in organizing this effort. Their goal is to raise $100,000 to cover funeral and legal costs. The community has rallied around them, showing that even in the darkest times, kindness and support shine through. Paris Oda, a 46-year-old chiropractor, turned his own home into a blood-soaked crime scene. One by one, he ended the lives of his wife and their 3 children, then turned the blade on himself, wiping out the entire family in a single night. No one saw it coming. No one knew the storm that was brewing inside Paris Oda's mind. The father who was supposed to protect them became the one who destroyed them. This case is a tragic reminder that sometimes the people we trust the most can be the ones we should fear the most. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Please share your thoughts in the comments. If there's a case you're interested in, let us know. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay safe,